Welcome back to episode 6 of my Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup playlist. We're playing today, still as a demonspawn enchanter of Rue, and we're not really enchanting too much. Where we left off, I was looking around for the lair, I think. There's a couple hiders on Dungeon 9 that I didn't really want to deal with. I think I ran away from a yak? Yeah. But now we are perfectly well prepared to go attack him. And he hit us, so Rue blinded him, which is nice. Shouldn't be much of a problem to finish off, I would think. Yeah. And this floor, I think, is mostly explored, except... So this area where Rolka is, and up here, which looks like Orc. And really, we ought to be okay to take out that entrance area. We still don't really want to bother Arolka. There's not much to be gained from that. Is there still a player ghost around here? I think that was this floor, right? Yeah. The demonspawn ice elementalist. And we've got a blowgun. That's the thing I gotta remember. It's really good for dealing with orcs, just because they're, I don't know, they're susceptible to poison. They're not like super poison vulnerable, but poison does a lot of damage to things that can be poisoned, basically. If you can hit them with the dang thing. So he has a halberd, which I don't like very much at all. It's a reaching weapon. So I was worried he was going to stand behind the other orc and attack me, but they seem to have traded places, so that's fine with me. I can now reach him with Tukima's Dance. It hits the first thing in the way, so if the other orc had been in front, I couldn't hit the warrior with it. But yeah, now with no halberd at all, he's not in good shape. No weapon. Deep Elf Mage. Another Deep Elf Mage. I guess we're getting deep enough that that's not totally unreasonable. Usually, you don't see a lot of Deep Elf Mages before, like, you get to Elf, the Elven Halls. Okay, a glaive. That's a really nasty weapon. It's stronger than a halberd. I really don't want to deal with that at all. I just need to take it away from him, basically. Okay. And here comes this ghost to spoil things. So I'm just going to sort of back off here. I don't know if he saw me or if... It looks like he's chasing that glaive, maybe? I don't know. It looks like we got away. But we do want to clear out this area to see what's there. Yeah, so Orc is right here. So this is the entrance to Orc. So... do I want to go to Orc here? Like, normally I like to go to Lair first. It's just generally easier. But the biggest threats in Lair are not really hexable, and the big threats in Orc are like orcs, and they are quite hexable. And we're not great at hexes, but we're okay. So, given that I've found Orc, I'm kind of inclined to dip in a little bit for some experience, I guess, rather than just leaving and finding Lair instead. So that was, it's pretty basic stuff here, just like fighting that Orc Priest. Make sure he's a ranged enemy who's quite dangerous at range. Make sure he's not at range, and he's there as little as possible. So, I backed around this corner, and up here, now enemies can only attack you if they can see you, and here is the farthest away anything can see me from. So I set myself up around this corner on purpose to, like, it's just generally good practice, really, to obstruct line of sight so that enemies can't see you from far away if they're ranged and you're not. Like, if you're ranged, you kind of want to do the opposite, engage out in the open. Let's try to confuse this hound. Yeah, he's biting himself now, poor guy. Now there's this stupid ghost, but so the nice thing about ghosts and some other undead is they can't take stairs. So I'm just gonna run away. So it's kind of annoying to keep having to run away from that ghost, but it's just way better than fighting him, honestly. You know, maybe someday we'll fight him. Maybe not. But at the moment, we certainly do not want to mess with him. There's a lot of orc warriors here. Hill giant, okay. So we're gonna poison him, and I guess poison this too. And let's try to take away his weapon because he hits, ouch. So I sacrificed my ability to cast spells quite so easily to Rue. I might need to train a little bit more hexes just to get these more reliable. My spell power, if I successfully cast a spell, is still fine. I mean, as fine as it was, given how early I stopped training hexes. But my chance to fail completely when casting a spell is higher than it otherwise would be because of the sacrifice I made to Rue. So, I don't know. Is that a priority right now? Probably not, but it's something that it would be nice to do. And, you know, that's enough of dungeon for now. We're going to go into our first branch. So, alright. So the dungeon is not just the dungeon. There's more sub-branches to the dungeon, like, we're about to go down, instead of from Dungeon 10 to Dungeon 11, we're going down to the Orcish Mines, which is a branch that's 4 levels deep, and it's got just, you know, as you might imagine, a bunch of orcs. Usually I come here after Lair, and so I've got a lot more experience, and all the orcs are totally trivial. So I'm going to need to pay a little bit more attention than I usually do to the stuff in Orc, because, oops, pushed the wrong button there. Because it is more threatening than I'm used to. And like usually you can just sort of hold down tab when you're in Orc 1 through 3. 4 is a little bit trickier. And there are some threats that can turn up that are threatening, even if you are fairly experienced. But most of this stuff is just not a big challenge. So this was a very small Orc 1, it looks like, but actually, unlike most other dungeon branches, Orc is not required to be contiguous. So there's always 3 upstairs and 3 downstairs on every floor, including in Orc, but we don't have to be able to get to them like all just by walking. So I'm going to have to go back upstairs somewhere to find a different section of Orc 1 that I haven't been to yet, probably. Well, certainly. Yeah, so that ogre is less of a threat than he used to be. And so we see there are 2 upstairs here now. There's a little, up at the top of the screen, there's those, what's the word? Not carrot, but, I don't know, angle brackets. There's a better word for that. I don't remember. That shows where the upstairs are, and there were 2 of them. So we haven't used this one. So let's go up, and we're in a different part of Orc 1 now. Great. And there's a lot of orcs here. So I'm gonna do what we talked about earlier, which is stair dancing. I'm gonna go back downstairs, and only the adjacent ones were able to follow me, so I could kill just like 2 wimpy old orcs. Go back up, grab a bunch of... Oh, look, a couple of them killed each other. Thanks, Rue. Just grab a small handful and come back downstairs. And, you know, just sort of... Okay, I kind of got too big a group there. Where's the Orc Priest? We gotta kill him. Yeah, so the rest of these guys are not... Even at this fairly low experience level, the ordinary orcs are not much of a threat unless they have, like, some extremely dangerous weapon, which I should get a notification about. I have it set up so that if they're wielding, like, distortion or electrocution or something really nasty, that I generally get a message printed to warn me about it. Because your character, of course, can see all these things. If you, the player, don't notice, you know, it's sort of like it seemed a little bit like, hey, you know, how fair is it? Have the game printing messages to tell you everything that you should be worried about? Oh gosh, I should Takima's Dance this guy. Yeah. But, you know, as sort of a role-playing thing, like, your character is actually noticing all this instantly, right? Sort of, and you as the player need some more messages printed to you for the kinds of things that would be sort of immediate in your attention if you were really like a demonspawn cruncher of Rue. So that's our title in the top right, the cruncher. So that's a Stav's title. We're not actually using like a staff. We're using a staff with 2 blades on the end. So we're not crushing people. We're crunching people rather. We're like sort of slicing them open. No, I don't want that short sword. But so as you gain skill points, your title changes based on what skill is your highest and how high it is. So there's a maximum level to each skill. Like, you can't get higher than 27. 27 is like... I was just a minute ago, I was looking to see if I had forgotten to get a Rue sacrifice, and we've got one now. Anyway, 27 is a number that comes up a lot in Crawl. It's the maximum level you can get to. It's the maximum level any of your skills can get to. It's the deepest you can go in a ziggurat. There's like a million things 27 is for. Not for any real reason as far as I know. So the level 27 titles for a lot of skills are sort of silly. Like for Stavs, it's Chief of Staff. Hilarious, right? But anyway, we got Rue. Wants us to sacrifice something. Okay. So these are all sort of interesting. We can sacrifice love, which would mean that even things in the dungeon that might otherwise be friendly or neutral to us will try to kill us. Everything will hate us. So this means you can't use like summoning spells because you just summon very angry guys who hate you and they would try to kill you. I don't really plan to use any of those, although Shadow Creatures is pretty good for... Well, I'm not really playing a stabber anymore, so I can just learn whatever spells I need and don't have to aim too hard towards summoning. It's pretty late in the game to sacrifice a hand, especially that we're using Lajtang. We've turned this one down several times already. We're not going to take it now. We could sacrifice Purity. We would lose the ability to heal ourselves with wands and potions, basically. And right now, I don't really have much of a way to heal myself with potions or wands, so it wouldn't hurt me much now, but it could hurt quite a lot later. Contrarily, love is one that doesn't hurt me at all now. I don't have any way to get allies anyway, and it won't hurt me much in the future because I can just like learn other stuff instead of summoning spells. I'll be giving up on like some of the elemental evokers, which are magical items that create like air elementals and so on. But I mean, that's fine. They're not that great. They're okay. But I don't mind giving them up. And we're at 5 Rue stars now, which is great. Interesting, every time we've made one sacrifice, we've gained exactly 1 star, which is just like, it's not guaranteed to go that way. We've just made sacrifices that are approximately big enough that that's how Rue feels about us. And we gained Rue's final ability, which is Apocalypse. It's very strong. Just deals a ton of damage to every enemy in sight, and it drains you quite a bit. So you don't want to use it all the time, but you know, if you get into a tough spot, Apocalypse will sort you out. And so we have all of Rue's abilities, but we still want more piety because they all scale with piety. So we're gonna sacrifice until we're at 6 stars, and then Rue's gonna stop bothering us and just help us instead. But so Apocalypse is a great escape ability. Well, not escape so much as panic, right? You know, if you're in a really bad spot, you just Apocalypse and like everything on the screen dies if you use it early on. Even later on, it's pretty good. Really? A Robe of the Archmagi, huh? That's interesting. So we were wearing a Robe of Magic Resistance, which is cool. Instead, we've got this Robe of the Archmagi, which makes all of our spells more powerful. We're not really relying too much on spells right now, and I feel like with all these orc wizards and sorcerers about, I would like to resist magic. I don't want to get confused or paralyzed or whatever. But Robe of the Archmagi could be a good thing to switch to if we get back into, you know, more heavy spell casting. Once we're done training Lagitangs, like... so I'm going to stop training Lagitangs at 14, which is like... when you have 14 skill points in a Lagitang, it's going as... you're attacking as quickly as you can. And more points still helps. You do more damage, but you could also train fighting to get more damage, and you get hit points as well. So you typically stop at what's called the min delay for your weapon, which the amount of skill you need to attack with the minimum delay per attack. And for Lagitangs, that's 14. So I'm going to stop there, and then I'm going to have to figure out what else to put points into. Go back to hexes, maybe diversify into some other magic school. I don't know. Evocations is less appealing now that I can't use elemental evokers. It still could be good. There's lots of other good magical items. Yeah, let's Stare Dance, I guess. Yeah, that's Rue. The orc hits itself with a flail. The orc dies. Good work, Rue. Who's this guy? He's blind. Yeah, I'm not, I don't know how I feel about the demonspawn powered by pain thing, because whenever I'm in bad shape, I get a buff, and it's like a strong buff. You get might or agility or something, and I'm like, I don't want to waste that. I want to keep fighting some guys while I'm more powerful than usual. But I think that most of the time when I get those buffs, I should run away. I don't know. Okay, so this is cool. We found a jewelry shop. And what are we wearing jewelry-wise? Ring of Flight, Ring of Ice, and Amulet of the Gourmand. We already have poison resistance. We don't need magical power or positive energy. So the only thing here that's really appealing is the Amulet of Fallacy, which I think is appealing enough to buy. So it's got the abilities Spirit, which means that your magic points can be used as health. When you take damage, it's shared between your health and magic, which goes particularly well with... So I'm going to just drop this Amulet of the Gourmand. You know, it was nice knowing you, but this is better. So it goes particularly well with Powered by Pain, which one of the things that can happen when we take damage is we regain magic points. So now that we can use those as health, that's really good. Am I done with Orc 1? It looks like there's got to be more, right? This can't be all of Orc 1. I've explored all the up staircases, though, and there's no escape hatches up, so I guess that was it. Kind of a sparse Orc. Maybe there's some escape hatches from 3 to 2 to 1 or something, I don't know. So we're just sort of tabbing through Orc. Stopping when something interesting happens, but, you know, like I said, a lot of Orc is not very interesting. And you know what? So there's some water here. I could walk around it, but let's try flight. Yeah, I've got a Ring of Flight, why not? So we're just going to fly over the water. Saved us some turns that... Okay, so he has a Battle Axe Draining. That's a dangerous weapon that I don't want to get hit with. Draining, you know, Rue will drain us, lots of things will drain us. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's just probably going to do a lot of damage as well. So I'm just going to make sure I take that away from him. Okay, so he doesn't have it. Oh, wait, what? Oh my gosh, disaster! I sacrificed love, and even this stupid Battle Axe of Draining doesn't love me. Uh-oh. I always forget that's going to happen. So I got to stop casting Takima's Dance now. Oh, that was really bad play. I shouldn't have sacrificed love. It's because I was relying on Takima's Dance for a lot of combat. Ugh. So the good news is I'm such a bad enchanter that Battle Axe is very slow, and it won't really be able to chase me. So I got it out of the Orc's hands, and it can't hit me. So, like, it's not going to hit him very well, because it, you know, isn't his enemy. But it's probably still better than him wielding it. Having it chase me is better than it being in his hands. And I think it should just sort of run out of magic power over time and fall on the floor, but I'm not really sure. So I'm going to go upstairs just in case here. Come back down and see what's up. Yeah, it's gone. And it's on the ground there. Okay, so we can't... We don't want to cast Tukima's Dance very much. We could choose to use it and then run away from the weapon. Like, that's still... What we just did there, accidentally, is still something that kind of makes sense to do on purpose, maybe. But, you know, you want to be doing it on purpose. So that's you gotta think about. I almost hit him with another Tukima's Dance. So that's why I took it off the letter. Tukima's Dance was my spell on the letter T, and I moved it so that I don't accidentally cast it. And it's now on capital T, so I can still cast it if I want to, but I'm not gonna just like accidentally. Oh yeah, let's. So this guy has a Mace of Holy Wrath, which, since we're a demon spawn, Holy Wrath does extra damage to us. So we really don't want to let him hit us with that. I think I actually am going to dance that, even though it's going to chase us. What? Come on. Alright, there it goes. So I'm now going to run away, because that mace is still mad at me, so to speak. You know, the Orc Warrior doesn't have it, but... Okay, so there's more of Orc 2 that we haven't been to. Fine. Okay, this Orc Warrior has a Battle Axe, which I don't think I'm going to take from him. Actually, I should back up here. This is not going great. But we just took care of the Orc Warrior. I have Ruse abilities if I need them. So I'm sort of hanging on to that as a... But okay, we got a chance to rest a bit. And we got some might. So okay, we handled that okay. You know, I'm not the toughest character in the world, so I took some damage there, more than I would like, really. And it's not over yet. We're still resting, and, you know, enemies are nearby. They could walk in and kill us at any moment. Yeah, just so I'm trying to isolate by keeping this Orc Priest out of my line of sight while I'm fighting other Orcs. But it looks like we've managed this upstairs all right. I was hoping it was to a part of Orc I had already explored, but so that I could just get away from that mace downstairs. But it wasn't, and we handled it all right. So there's Harold. Harold he's a middle-aged bounty hunter. He's ready to retire. He's cute, so he says stuff like, "I'm gonna buy a house," you know, and he says something sad about his family when you kill him. But more importantly than that, he has Bolt of Fire, which is really, I mean, given that we are vulnerable to fire, that's very bad news for us. If we were to get hit with a luck, I don't know if he could one-shot us, but he could do a lot of damage. Certainly he could kill us in 2 shots with a decent roll. Maybe even with 1, I don't know. And he also typically has, like, throwing nets throws a net on you and you get caught up and you can't move. So even if I were to take off my stuff giving me fire vulnerability, I would not be keen to fight Harold. So I'm just gonna run away here. Actually, there's an escape hatch. I'm gonna take that. It's safer than going back to those other stairs. Just get out of here right away. Yes, go through this escape hatch. All right. And so it's not to a new part of Orc 1. It's just the part we've already been to. There might still be an escape hatch to a part we haven't been to yet. I don't know. Glowing leather. That could be better than what we're wearing. +3 leather. So it's got 2 more armor than our robe, because it has leather is 1 heavier than robe, and it's also enchanted 1 better. But it doesn't have the magic resistance, and since we're in Orc early, I think being able to resist hexes is pretty important. Yeah, I'm starting to think that I might need more Hexes training. On the other hand, like, one of our biggest Hex spells has just gotten a lot less interesting. We can't afford to Kima's dance stuff. But Confuse, like, that still just completely takes care of a guy if he's causing us trouble. And we can land the Confuse. There's a Troll. I should not be holding down tab. So how's his magic resistance like? Oh, I'm pretty well able to hit him. There we go. There goes the Troll. I mean, he's still alive. Trolls are pretty strong, which is why I confused him. You know, he's shouting the confusion stuff, right? The Troll laughs at nothing. The Troll screams, "I'll kill you anyway!" But he didn't. And he left behind some Troll Hide. So with Scrolls of Enchant Armor, you can turn hides into armors, and like Troll Hide is decent. Troll Leather Armor is a little bit heavier than ordinary leather, and it helps you regenerate faster when you wear it. So like Trolls regenerate hit points very quickly, and if you wear Troll Leather, you do too. So what's with this Leather Armor? +2 Leather Armor of Fire Resistance. Okay, that's interesting. I could then take off my Ring of Ice, and now the fire resistance cancels out the negative fire resistance on my cloak, and I'm no longer vulnerable to fire, which is great. It means that if I do run into Herald again accidentally, I'll stand a better chance. And actually, speaking of which, I am going to say, don't take these stairs again, they lead to Herald. Don't want to accidentally run into him. I might choose to go fight him, like, say, by taking off the cloak and getting actual fire resistance, even. And I could even Apocalypse him. Like, you can use Rue's abilities somewhat freely. Like, this is another instance of something I talked about earlier when I was, I think, shopping, which is, don't save your resources up for a rainy day if you can make them help you now. And what? Why is he almost dead? Okay, so I've seen this happen before, and what I think is going on is this. Yeah, this area down here is a vault, a specially designed area, and it's like supposed to be a campfire or something where they're dividing up the loot of whatever conquest the orcs have been up to. But there's a campfire, which means there's like a cloud of flame in the middle that just never goes away. And if you stand in fire, like, you get hurt. And the AI in this game is fairly simplistic, and enemies will they'll avoid fire, right? It's bad for them. But not always. This actually does not look like that vault. Something else is going on here. But I had a campfire once show up where enemies just kept coming at me, and they were already like half dead. And I later found out it's because there was a campfire down there, and the orc warriors and so on were like, I could step through fire a little bit. It's not a big deal. And it's like, yeah, you came out of it alive, but it was, it's not like you were doing it to get to me. You were just walking around. You could have gone around the fire, man. But apparently that's not what was happening. Instead, there's some weird vault with like crystal walls. And orc wizards. I don't know what this is all about. There could be something scary in here, like a sorcerer, maybe. But I don't know. It's some sort of wizard cave, I guess? Huh. Okay. I don't get it. And I still don't know why that orc warrior was almost dead. But, I appreciate it. He had quite a strong weapon, and I didn't really want to Kima it or fight him with it. But okay, well, that was Orc 3. Some mysterious happenings and goings on. So at this point we could go down to Orc 4, which is the most dangerous level of Orc. It's the end of Orc. And there are always 4 shops, at least 4 shops in Orc, which could have good stuff or they could have junk, you never know. But you can often find a good upgrade or two. But since we're coming at this so early and we haven't been to Lair, I think we're a little bit too weak to tackle Orc 4. So I'm going to go back upstairs and look for Lair again. And actually, I've got my shopping screen up. I think I'm going to go buy this other ring, see what the deal is with that. Yeah, and there's this Stang Ghost still. But, you know, he's got... Oh, this is a dead end. This is a dead end. Ugh. Okay, so he's going to get up several pot shots at us while we run away. But we ought to be okay. In fact, just for caution, I'm going to put on a Ring of Ice, because he's got ice spells. Okay, fine. Now let's take off the Ring of Ice. Why is it saying it doesn't know how to get there? Go to Dungeon 7, please. I assume that I've like marked some important staircase as excluded, and it just doesn't know what to do. Yeah, okay. I don't know exactly what the deal was there. So we're going to buy this. Put it on. It's a Ring of Fire. Interesting. So between... So we have something that gives us... We're sort of like wearing a Ring of Ice already in our Cloak of Distant Shores. And with our leather armor giving us plus... So we're sort of like +1 in a resistance of either fire or cold, which we can toggle based on which ring we're wearing. And we could even go to like double cold resistance by putting on a Ring of Ice and lose the fire resistance. In fact, get negative fire resistance, but that's not really worth. So, but we can use this Ring of Fire to manipulate whether we're resistant to fire or cold at any given time, which is pretty good. Not as good as just being resistant to both all the time, but, you know, if we see something that's hot, we can put on fire resistance. Something that's cold, we can put on cold resistance. So that's good. Let's just go to the bottom of dungeon as far as we've been, which is 10. And head downstairs. These vampire mosquitoes I kind of want to kill, but I don't want to kill. I don't want to fight several of them at once. I think I'm just gonna leave well enough alone here. Close the door. And so, lair can't be any deeper than dungeon 11, as it says in the dungeon overview screen. So if we don't find it here, I'm going to have to go back to Dungeon 9, which, as I recall, I left somewhat unexplored because of Hydras. And find it there, I guess. Ring of Sustain attributes, not really that useful at the moment. It sort of makes it harder for enemies to drain your strength, intelligence, and dexterity. But right now, you know, there's nothing that does that. Only in the pretty late game does that become a real issue. And even then, it's not too bad. Okay, killer bees, killer bees. We are poison resistant, but our armor is not very high. I have lost some characters to killer bees in my life. They're very fast, and they attack with poison damage, and they're pretty agile. They're hard to hit. And they come in packs. Swarms, even. I think my record was I saw something like 28 killer bees on a single dungeon floor or something awful like that. So they're really dumb. So you can sort of, if you have the right spells, you can set up traps for them and they'll just walk right in. But we don't. We have a potion of lignification, which makes us immune to poison and gives us very good armor. So that would be a way to deal with bees if we needed to. I would rather not deal with them, though. Yet, anyway. So I want to find a way to deal with them one at a time. Ugh, the other stairs are all there, huh? Well, let's just go upstairs to that other staircase. Because I want to try to find a way to explore Dungeon 11 without immediately being assaulted by friggin' bees. Which means using one of these two staircases. Okay, so the bees are way down there, and we're up here. Let's mark this whole area as like a no-go zone. Do not enter here, please. I don't know if there's a lot of bees or just like a few bees or what, but whatever number of bees there are is more bees than I want. Okay, so I promised I was going to identify this wand of teleportation so that I don't waste charges on it. I had to use it once before I identified, and it cost me 3 charges out of the 6 that it had. And since this is like a life-saving item, I really don't want to waste any charges that I can help. Could have maybe used my blowgun there. Okay, so Rue wants another sacrifice from us. And we're already at 5 stars, so there's no hurry to like pick really big sacrifices that would carry us way over the top. And we also don't need to do it in a hurry. We can take several small sacrifices to just sort of top us off. We already have Apocalypse, which is like the big deal. We can get a better Apocalypse, but as it is, it's already really good. So I think I'm just going to sacrifice Purity here, lose 2 Dexterity, not a big deal. Sacrificing Courage means that when there are a lot of monsters on screen, you get weaker, which is not great. It's good if you can like tactically maneuver so there's never a lot of monsters on screen, because then it's like free. But we don't have like wands of digging and disintegration to build barricades and so on out of the dungeon walls. And sacrifice Essence, we would lose a little magic, which we're not using for much, but we are wearing Guardian Spirit, so our magic is health, and losing 10% of it, still not a lot, but so which of these actually is a bigger sacrifice? Sacrifice Essence is trivial. Sacrifice Purity is trivial. Yeah, so I'd rather just lose the 2 Dexterity. We're going to have a lot more Dexterity later. So that didn't get us to 6 stars. We do have more Piety. Like, Piety goes from, like, 0 to 160 for Rue. And the stars are, like, I don't know what they're at. 30 maybe is the first one. 25, I don't know. But so it's not like it did nothing. We did gain some more Piety, even though the display looks the same. It's just we didn't hit the breakpoint. And I was about to Tukima this guy, and then I was like, well, should I do that? I don't know. I wonder what happens. I'm actually curious, and I think... Well, he's... All right. I'm curious what happens if you Tukima a guy and then kill him. Does that make his weapon stop dancing? Like, normally the weapon stops dancing when it kills the guy it was attacking. But if the weapon is attacking you because you've sacrificed love, is it still attached to its previous owner, or does it stop working when you die? I don't know the answer to that. So here's our first ugly thing. They're sort of chaotic. I don't know. I really think of them as like 4-legged. I don't even know. I'm sure if you look at them in tiles, they look like something in particular. But there's lots of different colors of them. So this green one is poison themed. So we're not going to be using a blowgun on him, and we're going to be grateful that we have poison resistance. And he's a little scary. We do want to approach him with caution. So one thing that's interesting is so a wand of polymorph turns a monster into some other monster, and it like has to pass their magic resistance like a hex, and the more spell power or wand power you have, the better it works. So you can use it if there's like a monster that you really can't deal with, turn it into something else of roughly the same strength. Ugly things have a special interaction where it always works on them, and it always just turns them into a different color of ugly thing. So if we were really afraid of a green one, we could turn it into something else, but we're not. Green is okay. I mean, ish. But I don't want to fight out where other stuff might hear me, so I'm going to back up. Ugly things are fast. They're not very fast, but they're a little faster than you are. So he's gonna close the distance while I run away, which, whatever. Okay, so this fight is going okay. We're taking some damage for sure, but he's taking more. And notice this ugly thing corpse is in purple rather than like white. So purple indicates items that are dangerous. Not necessarily bad, but dangerous. And if you if you eat the corpse of an ugly thing or other purple corpses, you don't gain nutrition. You don't get less hungry, but you do gain random mutations. It's mutagenic. It's mutagenic flesh. And like I said before with the potion of mutation, I'd rather not experiment with that because I feel like I can win somewhat reliably enough that I don't need to luck into a good mutation to win necessarily in most games, and so I'd rather just not risk the bad mutation. But it's, and if you are going to do it, doing it through mutagenic flesh is better because you only get 1 mutation per chunk, whereas a potion of mutation gives you 3 mutations all at once, and so like it's nice to be able to stop exactly when you want, when you get like a mutation set you're happy with, whereas with a potion you might mutate right through where you want to be into somewhere bad. So there's something I was talking about earlier. I just briefly mentioned, what does an ugly thing look like? I don't know. If you look at him in tiles, he looks like something, I'm sure. We're going to get to these monsters in a minute, but I wanted to finish my thought. Is something I like about the console view of games like this is that you can just sort of imagine what everything looks like. Once you're proficient enough with the glyphs to see like, okay, a yellow C, like that's a cyclops, whatever. I have my own idea of what a cyclops looks like, what an ugly thing looks like, and they have descriptions which you can read, and of course everybody knows it's got 1 eye in the center of his head. It's very big, but I think it's kind of nice. Your character, you can imagine it looks like you or like some other hero you'd like to be. And in tiles, you kind of have to pick one of the built-in tiles and hope it looks kind of like you or like what you want to look like. And so they have tiles for each species. If you play a demon spawn, you're a demon spawn, and it's very nice. They put different graphics on you if you have a shield and so on. But I kind of like being in my own little world here. So the Cyclops throws rocks, and he's a slow guy, and he's going to run out of rocks eventually. So we're just going to run away from him. And he's kind of like a slightly less melee-focused hill giant, so we can just sort of like take him out. But what I'm worried about down there is Gastronoc, who is an elephant slug who has learned spellcasting by eating a wizard. And he's very, very slow. One of the slowest enemies in the game, I think. So you can just sort of run away from him, but he can do a lot of nasty stuff if he's in your line of sight. And I didn't notice if he was wearing like the Hat of Pondering or something, which would be naive. I probably wouldn't even want that. But he always has some kind of hat, and often it's a good hat. And we don't have a hat right now, but we can't wear hats, because we have these antennae on our head. So, right? It says hats unavailable. Yeah. So here comes a red ugly thing, which is fire themed. Oh, it's brown. That's right. Crimson Imp. So brown is acid themed, and I don't really like that. No, don't attack while wielding my blowgun. What an idiot. So we're going to have to keep an eye on corrosion this fight. Ow. So Rue's helping out, but we're not doing great here, honestly. I just need to land a couple good hits. I'm thinking it's going to be time to draw out power pretty soon if this doesn't start going better. But it is going better. Okay, now it's going worse. Let's draw out power. So we gained a bunch of HP and MP, and we are exhausted and drained a little, but it was enough to finish this guy off. And we didn't even get hit again, so like we didn't need it. But you don't want to be on the brink of death, even if you end up not getting hit. That's kind of bad news. And so, we have a little bit of drain, right? Our skills are, like I have 11.9 skills and staves, and it's only 11.8 with my drain. So it wears off pretty fast for small things like draw out power. Exhaustion drains like 2 whole levels of skills, I think, or almost 2. It's quite expensive. Did I say exhaustion? I meant apocalypse. I'm not sure what I said. Have we found Lair yet? No. An amulet. Sure. Amulet of stasis. I don't really want that. So it protects us from, it makes it impossible for us to teleport or blink or go fast or go slow, which can be useful. But a lot of the time, you're teleporting on purpose because you want to get away from something. So you use it for, like, if there's an enemy who is going to paralyze you or slow you, or if there's a teleport trap you want to walk over or something, but you don't ordinarily, like, just wear it. So another ugly thing, I'm going to take off the Ring of Fire. This one is ice themed, a white ugly thing. So we can poison him as well. And white ugly things are among the most dangerous, just because, like, the ice attacks hurt quite a lot. Having cold resistance is a big help. Ow. Come on. So I don't want to draw out power yet, because I'm not sure. I might need, I might honestly need to apocalypse this guy. Yeah, I don't know how things went so wrong. I guess, should I have been confusing him? Maybe. I forgot to put on my boots. I don't know, I have sharp toenails. Maybe I didn't want to put on boots anyway. Well, this is a shame. Yeah. I think if I draw out power, that's not going to be enough. So, you know, well, he's heavily wounded and he's poisoned. I'm gonna give it a try, and I've got agility. I'm gonna try just drawing out power. Maybe this is too risky, but I think with Rue passively helping me, this should be enough to finish him off. Okay, that was not the best fight, but we sort of. I feel like when we're okay, I found Lair. Good, so I didn't miss it earlier. And honestly, I just want let me in. I don't want to be on Dungeon 11 any longer than I have to be. Lair should be a breath of fresh air here. And in fact, let's call this a video here. Made it to Lair, great. There's gonna be a lot of animals around and so on. And it should be a nice change of pace from the dungeon. So that's it for now. See you in the next video, and thanks for watching.